Who doesn't know about Game of Thrones? This show took the world by storm and has made billions in profits alone. Now, its prequel, House of the Dragon, also shows promising results. And while it is raking in millions of views worldwide every day, we can certainly say you also watched the show. Well, of course, that is why you clicked on this video in the first place. But, despite your love for the show, we are sure you would not know about these 10 things. 1. Viserys I wanted Rhaenyra as his successor. Only Princess Rhaenyra made it to adulthood out of the 3 children King Viserys I and Queen Aemma Arryn welcomed into the world. Her father doted on her and prepared her to take over the kingdom when he passed away. Princess Rhaenyra received an education beginning when she was a little girl, including instructions in topics such as diplomacy and the kingdom's affairs. In certain instances, she was even permitted to participate in council sessions. This was not something that went ignored by nobles who belonged to the other houses, and when she matured into a young lady, many of them started to support and acknowledge her. 2. The practices of succession in Westeros were altered as a result of the Civil War. Aegon II was only able to enjoy his power for a little over half a year when he was forced to give his half-sister Rhaenyra to the dying dragon Sunfyre. Aegon III, Rhaenyra's son, was crowned the king after the conclusion of the Civil War, despite the fact that he was only a toddler at the time. However, he was forced to serve as a governor for a number of years until he was allowed to reign on his own. A more long-lasting consequence of the war would be seen in the future succession procedures of the Targaryen clan, which would prefer male heirs above female heirs from that point forward. 3. Aegon II seized power first. Only a week after Viserys I passed away, Aegon hastily prepared his coronation at the Dragonpit. The future king's brother, Prince Aemond, had pledged his allegiance to the House of Baratheon by marrying one of Lord Barros Baratheon's daughters. This was done only to ensure loyalty to the House of Baratheon. Sir Criston Cole crowned Aegon, and then Helaena, Alicent Hightower's daughter, and the new queen, was crowned by her mother as Aegon's bride. 4. The council was already divided when Viserys I died. Viserys I passed away in 129 AC, and while you may be unaware, at the time of his death, the council was already split between those who supported Princess Rhaenyra and those who supported the future Aegon II. These were called the Greens and the Blacks, respectively. Viserys' proclamation of Rhaenyra's right to the throne, in which he overlooked earlier contentious disagreements on the succession of King Jaehaerys, his father, was divisive. 5. Rhaenyra captured the throne. On number 5, we have the incident when Rhaenyra took the throne. Princess Rhaenyra was on Dragonstone when her father passed away, and she was only made aware of Prince Aegon's attempt to seize power from a distance. And even though she had a smaller number of companions, the greater number of dragons gave her an obvious advantage over her enemies in the field. As the war dragged on, Aegon II watched as his support among the aristocracy began to erode. Following her men's conquest of King's Landing, the princess temporarily assumed control of the Iron Throne. It was possible to extract retribution on Sir Tywin Lannister and others in an event known as the Butcher's Ball, in which a force consisting of hundreds of Greens was defeated. 6. Taking place 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. While not many people know this, the conflict portrayed in House of the Dragon occurs between 129 AC, or the 129th year following Aegon's coronation in Old Town, and 131 AC, which is about 3 centuries before the beginning of Game of Thrones. At the time shown, the 7 kingdoms are under the control of House Targaryen. The dragon rider's Viserys I Targaryen was the 6th Targaryen monarch to sit atop the Iron Throne. During his reign, the 7 kingdoms enjoyed a period of relative serenity and economic growth. 7. The dragons went extinct after the war. The dragons are shown as powerful creatures in GOT and House of the Dragon. And while in most wars, only one side holds the power of the dragons. The war shown in House of the Dragon is explicitly the only war in which dragons fought on both sides of the fight. At the dance over Shipbreaker Bay, Prince Aemon and his enormous dragon Vagyar were responsible for the deaths of Eryx and Lucerys, who were Rhaenyra and Prince Daemon's sons. Both Rhaenys and her dragon, Meleus, perish in a fierce fight that takes place 1,000 feet in the air between Meleus, Sunfyre, and Vagyar. After much bloodshed and unspeakable chaos at the conflict's conclusion, even the dragons were dead. There were so few of them left that they became extinct soon. This lasted until the arrival of Daenerys Targaryen, known as the Mother of Dragons, almost 300 years later. Further details regarding the rebirth of the dragons are shown in GOT. 8. The conflict involved other powerful players too, including the great houses of Westeros. When the heat of the war turned up, the powerful families of Westeros chose sides, either the green or the black, with many of them switching their allegiance throughout the conflict. Due to a deal that they had made with the princess's father, the Starks fought on her side. Almost immediately, Sir Tywin Lannister took a stance against the princess, arguing that the vows that were signed on the occasion of Queen Aemma's passing had, in essence, been committed at a time that was too distant in the past to be still legitimate. Rhaenyra had wed her uncle, Prince Daemon Targaryen, and many people, including Sir Otto Hightower, believed he would be the true power behind the Iron Throne. 9. At one point, there were dragons without riders. Jacaerys Velaryon, also known as Prince Jacaerys, was Queen Rhaenyra's eldest son. While this may seem strange to hear, at one particular time, there were 6 dragons on Dragonstone that did not have any riders whatsoever. So, Jacaerys sent out a call for the Dragon Seeds. This is the moniker given to bastards of both House Targaryen and House Velaryon, since only those of the lineage were able to ride dragons. A promise of knighthood was made to any dragon seed who mastered the art of riding a dragon. A few who tried were slain, and others were wounded in the process. But in the end, only 4 were successful. One of those 4 was Nettles, who would later become Daemon's girlfriend and be forced to leave on her dragon, Sheepstealer. 10. Targaryens were not the only dragon lords. And, last but not least, contrary to popular belief, there were other dragon lords too. As the series progressed, viewers were most familiar with the Targaryens in their capacity as dragon lords, even though their family line, along with the family lines of practically every other species of dragon, had almost been severed. People still thought of them in that manner. Many other families also styled themselves as dragon lords, but they existed before the Bane of Valyria. Fans have been encouraged to think that the Targaryens were the only family to escape the catastrophe up to this point. This brings us to the end of this video. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time!